I've been retired for a little over 6 months now. And what I retired from was being a financial advisor for over 20 years. So in today's video, I want to share with you 5 things that I wish I knew before I retired. Let's go for a walk on this beautiful beach, Hermosa Beach in Costa Rica, and talk about it. And the first one was, in some ways, I felt like I was going to be disappointing my teammates, my company, by retiring. And I thought they'd say, "Hey, Azul, please don't retire. We, we need you here." I worked for a great company for a long time, and we always were cheerleaders for people when they left to do their next thing. But frankly, there hadn't been a lot of people that had retired from my firm. So I really thought that people were going to say, "Hey, Azul, please don't leave." But you know what? In a nice way, the reality is no one cares. And if you're staying at your job because you think, "Oh, they need me here," you know what? Unfortunately, this is a little crude, but the cemetery is filled with people that thought that they were irreplaceable. So that's the first one. The second one that I wish I had known before I retired was just I knew it here, but I wish I had known it here. Just kind of the challenge of giving up that paycheck. Is after I've been working since I was like 14 years old. I had my own lawn care business when I was a little kid. Um, and then, I went to college and got a decent paying job and always had new money coming in. But I have to tell you, when the 15th of the month and the 30th of the month came for the first, 3, 4 months, it was like, ouch, this hurts. This hurts. I miss having that money come in. I miss, and for me, it almost felt like I was standing instead of at the side of an ocean. It felt like when I was working, I was standing on the side of a river and there was new money flowing in, twice a month. And so if I made a mistake or decided, you know what, I want to, buy something that's probably more money than I should spend, or I want to go on a nicer vacation and spend more money, it didn't matter that much because I had this buffer of new money coming in, hopefully promotions every couple years, hopefully a raise every year, things like that. So the other thing I wish I knew was it was going to hurt, but you do get over it after the first 2 or 3 months. It's kind of like, okay, now I'm used to not having that money come in. And the thing that gives you confidence is having a plan and being able to say, okay, we said we were going to spend this much a month. And in my case, we were a little below the budget. And so that gave me confidence to say, okay, we're doing fine. I don't need to worry about that. Okay. The next one I wish I had fully understood and probably would have retired sooner had I fully appreciated it is just how nice it is to have full control over your schedule and to spend your days, your entire day, really, for the most part. I mean, there's still responsibilities, but my kids are grown and out of the home now. They're done with college, almost. I've got one daughter that has another 3 or 4 months left, but for the most part, they're done with college. We saved up money for them. We paid off the mortgage. We saved money for our retirement. We saved money for our health insurance because I'm retiring before I qualify for Medicare. Um, and so there's been a lot of responsibilities that have been lifted off of my shoulders, but the one that wasn't lifted off of my shoulder was the responsibility of my job. And I didn't have a full appreciation for how great it feels to control your schedule. I mean, I'm here in Costa Rica for a month. That'd be hard to do it'd be impossible to do if I was still working. So it's just nice to be able to spend your time doing what you want to do and to pursue the things that you have a passion for. So that's the next one. An additional one is how grateful I am to my 40-year-old self for saying, you know what, we really need to take our health more seriously. My health doesn't come naturally. In your 40s, there's really 2 periods of time. There's been a new study that was just done. There's 2 periods of time when humans age rapidly. and that's in your 40s and in your early 60s. And being in my early 60s now, I can tell you, I definitely felt that in my early 40s, and I definitely am feeling that now in my early 60s. And I'm grateful for my early 40s person for waking up and saying, you know what? When I get 6 hours of sleep, I feel it the next day now. I can't say, okay, I can do this for a month and get by on 5 or 6 hours a week like I could in my 20s or 30s. And I can't eat junk food or go out for a few drinks with my friends and expect to feel 100% the next day. So I'm grateful that I recognized that in my 40s and started focusing on my health, both in my fitness side of things as well as my eating habits. The other thing, candidly, is the mental health side. You know, for the first time in my life, I had a mental health challenge. Candidly, I think I've talked about this on the channel before, but when COVID started, one of my phobias, and a phobia is an irrational fear. I have three phobias. One is I'm irrationally afraid of bees. Two, I'm irrationally afraid of sharks, but I've overcome that. It's one of the reasons I said I'm going to learn to surf in my 50s. I can go out in that water and not hear the theme song from Jaws. But my third phobia, which brings us back to the pandemic, is dying alone. And unfortunately, particularly in the early days of the pandemic, that's how people died. So when COVID first started, that was hard for me mentally, and it taught me the importance of having some mental health routines so that I had them if something like that, hopefully nothing like that ever happens again. But I have friends that have really good, healthy routines. You know, they journal in the morning. They talk about the things that they're grateful for. They do things at the end of the day to help them unwind. I know some people that like to take, you know, even as adults, bubble baths to help them unwind and just things for their mental health. So that's another thing that I wish I had known. And then frankly, the other one, and you're going to be surprised by this, but you know, as a financial advisor, one of the things I tell my clients is take no more risk than what you need to achieve your goals. And I was a little more conservative in my investments than in hindsight, I probably should have been. Now, granted, again, with the benefit of hindsight, the market has had a great 20, 30-year run. So I benefited from that. But in hindsight, I was a little too conservative. You know, I've always been a decent saver. And so I had the luxury of not having to be overly aggressive with my investments. But in hindsight, I was probably too conservative with my investments. And I wish I had known that before I retired. Having your asset allocation right is a key step for any of us to achieve our investment goals. Making good decisions and educating ourselves is important. For your asset allocation, I encourage you to hire a professional to help you decide the right asset allocation for you. And I encourage you to keep watching my channel for hopefully videos that will be helpful for you. And YouTube knows what you like to watch, and they say you're going to enjoy this next video from me. Let me know if they're right. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.